to this special session. I'm your host, Pallavi. As we draw closer to the end of National Protein Week, we aim to bring attention towards protein consumption in India and how retailers can play a better role through this exclusive panel discussion. Protein, as we know, is known to be the building block of life. This is not only true for humans, but for animals as well. Just like humans acquire their protein from dietary protein sources, livestock has to acquire their protein through their diet. In this session, we'll explore more about a feed ingredient that is known to be one of the richest protein sources, which is soy. Soy is a versatile source of protein, not only meant to meet daily nutritional requirements, but also enable metabolism. Let's begin our session on soya for a quality protein product differentiator by Right to Protein to discuss, debate, and make recommendations on how the retail industry can help consumers become more aware what makes their sources of protein rich in macronutrient content and the interventions that are required to achieve it. Happy to be joined by some of the best experts. Jason John, Team Lead India, US Soybean Export Council. Dr. Suresh Itapu, Nutraceutical Expert, Director, Nutritech India. And Kripa Jalan, Nutritionist and Founder, Burgers to Beast. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me begin with Kripa first. I would like to understand what is the current situation like with regard to the protein consumption in the country. Kripa.
For sure. I think if we were to analyze a traditional Indian plate, which comprises mostly grains, lentils, vegetables, and some amount of fruit, one would notice that they're predominantly rich in carbohydrates with little to no protein. I know most people would argue that lentils are protein, but if we look at their nutrition profile, they have far more carbohydrates than they do protein. Just to clarify, I'm not saying lentils are bad for you. They're a powerhouse of a food group if you can tolerate them. Couple this with the couple these imbalanced meals with the ease of walking over to the kitchen, opening the refrigerator, and pulling out foods that are rich in sugar and trans fats, and we've got a pretty dire situation on our hands. Because with industrialization, our reliance on edible food-like substances has increased, and in this process, we're eating a lot more food that comes out of packages than actually from our kitchens. Circling back to protein, I think it's a drastically misunderstood food group because on one hand, we have people telling us it's bad for our kidneys. On the other, every other fitness establishment is telling us it's a miracle food group, take more of it. Neither have the whole picture. Because no food in isolation can make or break your health, nothing in excess can be good for you. Let's take spinach, for example. It's considered healthy for the most part. But if spinach is all you ate, you're not going to be the healthiest version of yourself. So all in all, for the most part, we're either eating too little or too much of it, but mostly too little.
We'll understand more from you on the existing trends, how it has changed after the pandemic. But let me go to Dr. Suresh. Sir, tell us, how has the retail industry in India been performing with regards to pushing out protein-rich products?
If you look at the retail industry, I think in the last 1 decade, this sector has really grown very well. And this is one of the most dynamic and the fast-paced industries for a number of years. A number of players are coming into this particular field. And also the total consumption expenditure is expected to grow almost more than $3,600 billion currently, and which is really doing very well and which accounts for 10% of the India's GDP. So this retail industry has been now, it's more like a pleasure actually for the consumers. Like if you go back to like when I was young, we didn't have an option to actually reach to the products in the shop, in the like mom and pop shops or the kirana shops, where we were at the mercy of the shop owner. So if whatever he gives us, we used to buy that. Now the situation is not like that. Now the consumers have a choice to actually go look at the label, read the labels, look at the various products available, compare the nutritional facts of various products available. So this scenario is making a retail industry, a retail experience as a pleasure to the Indian consumers. So this particular situation is actually taking consumers more closer to the product. So this is definitely is a very, very positive effect. And also, if you look at the modern retail, what is growing today very well at a fast pace, the cold chain or the cold or we can say frozen section, where the meat is being very carefully handled and safely put it so that it will not be spoiled. So this situation is also helping the consumers to reach to the safer products and superior quality products, and also look at the labels so that consumers can understand what is there in that particular product. Over.
Sure. Let me now move on to Jason. Your opening comments on the current situation, and also do you see any change post the pandemic in terms of the industry response?
First of all, thanks to Right to Protein and Economic Times team for inviting me, friends. People learned the act of survival or the process of survival, even though you tell them or you don't tell them. So they may try homeo medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, or at the end of the day, they will try protein. That's for definite. Because you can't make them fool by, okay, that of course, during this pandemic time, lots of health improving tips and nuskas came into the market. Of course, they may try that, but it is very sure that they realize that protein is also very important. Mm-hmm. You can deviate or confuse him with, I won't name anybody, lots of resistance improving or health improving products, even the Benians also came into the market. But people know at the end of the day, protein is very essential. That is how the industry, poultry, egg industry has survived and surviving in this last 2 years. So that is very sure that retail industry has a big impact. Even the prices of, for example, if the prices of broiler has went down to minus negative prices, but it has picked up back with the same social media's impact. People realize that protein is the only one thing which can save them. So it has an impact. Hence, there is an importance of protein. As Dr. Kripa said about the importance of the blend of every product, not only sticking to one product. The mixture of all combination of foods helps you to survive rather than focusing on single product. So in those matters, soya do have its own role, its own importance.
All right. So Kripa, coming back to you, we've been talking about the importance and you helped us understand the current situation. But given the pandemic situation, you think it's even more important for people to focus on their protein consumption?
I think the last
then it's been.
Sorry. I think the last year has been challenging to say at the very least for everyone. But if there's one tiny silver lining, it's that most people are being more intentional about viewing their health from a preventive lens rather than something that's resorted to in cases of emergency. A once in a 100-year pandemic seems like an overwhelming concept and most people feel helpless. What can I do? But in addition to, of course, social distancing, hand washing norms, there's a lot we can do to reduce our risk. I'm saying reduce, and this isn't some alternative solution to preventing COVID. But one of the main things we can do is support our immune system, for which protein is critical. In fact, protein malnutrition is a big risk factor for death from infections. So, yeah.
Right. Dr. Suresh, we've been talking about protein consumption levels and how they're increasing, but also tell us, in your opinion, you think as of now consumers, obviously they're looking at, more healthier choices, but the kind of protein and the other, maybe products they are consuming, are they giving the sufficient amount of protein which is required? What is your take?
As Ms. Jalan has mentioned, definitely there is a protein deficiency in the country, and some study conducted by the Right to Protein initiative sometime back showed that there is consumers are not really aware about the importance of protein, and they are not aware of which food provides protein. Some there was very surprising results like vegetables. Some people think vegetables are good source of protein. Usually it is the other way around. and people are not aware. And also one thing I would like to mention here is in India, we have protein deficiency. Not only the deficiency in terms of the quantity, but also quality deficiency is also a big challenge in India, because in India, more than 60% of the protein is coming from the cereals, as Ms. Jalan has just mentioned, that we eat various cereals and then we eat a lot of carbohydrate. So we get protein from cereals, which is not so good quality when you look at the essential amino acids and other things. So here, meat is of course, along with soy being a vegetarian source, and all the meat proteins are all good quality proteins. But unfortunately, even though we have about 20, only 27% vegetarians and rest 73% are non-vegetarians, but we don't eat meat every day. So that is something we not only have the protein deficiency, and also quality deficiency is an issue, and consumers are not fully aware. But fortunately, during this unfortunate situation of COVID, the awareness about protein has increased, and people are realizing the importance of protein, and people correlate the protein to the immunity, especially to fight about COVID and other infections. So this is something which is very changing very fast. I think we are moving in the right direction. Still, I feel it needs a lot of effort by the policymakers, for the stakeholders in the industry, to improve, to increase the awareness about the protein and its importance in day-to-day life. Like if you look at today's, I mean, last 2 days we have been seeing the Olympics going on. Why with 1.3 billion people are not able to get enough medals? So that's indirectly protein will play a very, very important role, because we are not getting enough protein. I think Ms. Jalan has a lot of experience in the sports nutrition. I shouldn't be talking in front of her, but that's what I feel like. Maybe if we look at that, maybe with 1.3 billion population, we may be in the top 5, 6 it should be in the medal tally. But that is how situation, hopefully with the awareness, I think it is going to improve in the coming years, and then we will have a healthy nation, and we can fight various diseases, especially during the pandemic time.
Sure. In fact, Jason, as you were mentioning about the the change that you are seeing, so how do you see this gap which is existing in the sector filling up, and what can be the possible role of retailers in making India a protein sufficient country?
Ma'am, it is very simple. Knowing is the first step towards a solution. So we all are coming to know that there is a gap between the demand and supply, and even the prices, which shows the same thing. Even whether it is a raw material cost or the finished food product, the prices are not on a cheaper level, it is on a higher note in India. Especially the entire feed or broiler, we are on a higher note in South Asian countries. So coming to the question, how these gaps are going to be filled, of course, it's again making more economically feasible products, and making farmer to come up with a more yield product, which can, for example, soya in India, we do have a 1 metric tons per hectare production, where the international average is 2.56. So that is a big subject to concern, and big concern even for the government and farmers. The prices may go up and low, but if you have a good yield, you can survive. For example, if you are 1 hectare and you are getting 1 metric ton, the prices may be 10,000 or nearly 90,000 rupees today. But if you have a double yield, so even the prices comes down, the farmer do have a cushion to handle that pressure. So improving yield, and it has to start from the farmer, where the products are coming, how good are those products. Not only, when you compare with international players, we have organic and non-GM, but it still need to be well balanced in the international market. That is one thing. Second thing, of course, the prices automatically we give a direction for farmers to sow more products. That is also a commercial way, free market way. When there is a good in return for the farmer, farmer will focus on more on those products. So that is a free economic model where when there is more realization, farmer will turn to that product from his entire basket. So that is also will happen. So we know that we can make people aware. See, 10, 20 years back, going for a gym was a fashion. Now it became an adequate fact. I mean, right, Kripa ma'am? It become, these people have made a big role because 20 years back, going to gym is it is a fashion symbol. Today, it's important. So it's only the awareness that will make a role. So this is what we are supposed to do.
Correct.
So after 40 years back, if you are telling a person, go to temple in the morning, have a bath, that was the wise call at that time. So now people realize that, of course, you need a reason of today's generation. So you have to tell them, be like Salman Khan. So that is more fascinating for them. So the people followed that. So this is how generations come to know, and we teach them with some examples, some good models. So that knowing and awareness only we can create, and let the people select what is good for them. That's all my call on that. Thank you.
Sure. So that was quite an interesting, analogy. And Kripa, coming to you, as we can see, there are two sides to the story. One is the consumer side, and one is the industry. So from your point of view, let me just share a few, data with you. I mean, there was a recent government data which indicated that, protein is falling out of the Indian diet every decade. And, most Indians are protein deficient, as we already discussed here. So in your point of view, how can people compensate and bridge this gap? Like from the consumer's end, what can be done?
Of course, ideally, we should be consuming 1 gram of protein per kilo of our body weight in grams daily, but ideal days are few and far. I think in the modern day, it's impossible for most adults to sit down and plan 4 square meals a day. And it's not practical to work with numbers. So I would say even if we start off with a baseline of consuming a small amount of protein with meals through the day, it's sufficient. It's better than doing nothing. That could be clean animal sources such as meat, seafood, eggs, or plant-based ones like legumes, nuts, seeds, tofu, tempeh, soybean. These sources tend to be adequate if consumed in adequate quantities, the plant-based sources. If you struggle to meet your needs, consider good quality protein powder, but just be mindful that you're looking for a health-giving supplement and not another way to add a milkshake. So that's my thought.
Sure. Dr. Suresh, we're talking about the gaps and what can be done. So our audiences who are retailers, what can they do, and how can they help address these gaps and help the retail industry to tackle the India's protein gap that we've been discussing here? Dr. Suresh?
This is actually retailer can play a very, very important role because they are the interface between the product and the consumers. Okay, so maybe some amount of in-shop promotions which industry will be doing, and also the retailers can actually move it forward, push it forward, and then kind of highlighting some of the label information. And then if we actually educate the retailers on the importance of nutrition, because now they don't know much about it. See, for them, it is more like, okay, product is there, and whether it is fast moving or not, whether they should be placed in a prominent location or not, something like that. But if we can make them understand the importance of nutrition, importance of protein, and also especially in meat-based products where that they need to be kept in the frozen section. So maintaining that. So this kind of education, if we let them know, I'm sure they will play a very important role in pushing the product. And also today's consumers have, as I mentioned earlier, they have a lot of interest in reading the labels. Okay, so that is something at the retail level only it can happen. And here I would like to bring another area is e-commerce. I mean, e-commerce, you can also consider them as retailers. Because especially because of during the pandemic situation, the e-commerce has really grown up very well, and the industry estimates that by 2024 we are going to have 84% growth in the e-commerce. So this is something where the consumers can be the e-commerce or retailers can actually educate the consumers, provide the information, and use the information technology to disseminate the information about the goodness of the product or importance of the nutrition, importance of the protein to the consumers can play a very, very important role. That definitely will going to help them in improving their business also. Suppose if I go to a shop and if the retailer can talk to me and then guide me better and looking at, like, when I go and want to buy some soy products, and if they can help me in, okay, what are the various soy products available, and that kind of interaction, if retailer has with the consumer, that can go a long way for their business and also for the consumers to get the right quality and right kind of product what they are looking at. Over.
Sure, sure. So going back to Jason, it's pretty clear now, like with this discussion, that how plant protein sources acquire the macronutrient content. But however, when it comes to the animal protein sources, I mean, how is that achieved in livestock? If you could help us understand that, so that our viewers who are watching this session may get a clearer picture.
So we call it food if it is for human, and we call it feed is it for any livestock. Livestock gets its nutrients from the feed they consume. So that is the only one difference. Of course, feed and food, there is no difference, only might be the appearance. It is also raw, it can be partially cooked, it can be steamed, or it can be fully cooked, it can be raked. So any form of this food goes to animals, of course, livestock. And an ideal feed should consist of protein, carbohydrate, minerals, vitamins, enzymes, antioxidants, acidifiers, amino acid, probiotics, extra. It is the same thing what we also can consume. The combinations and the ratio will be decided by feed nutrition, and he or she might be a veterinarian. And their decisions are based on the balance of economic feasibility, of course, the cost of the product, and nutrients or the raw material available in that particular locality. This is very simple equation. This is how they work, and that's all about it.
Sure. In fact, we would also like to understand, like, from the among the different kinds of feed, do you see soy as a superior source of protein, especially when it comes to nutrition for livestock and aquaculture, as we are discussing?
Of course, there are soya do have very importance. As already mentioned, feed is a combination of protein, carbohydrate, minerals, vitamins, etc. Based on the age of animal or bird or fish, nutrition recommends what type of feed or what kind of combination has to be fed. Regarding protein, soybean meal is considered the most economically feasible protein available in India till last month. Now it is very costly. And in the world, today India will be the place where the raw material having a higher value, especially for soya. There are many protein sources commonly used to by poultry livestock industry. One is plant-based, animal origin products are also there, fish meal, meat, bone products. Then brewery and biodiesel products, byproducts, DDGS we call it. So there are leaves, cassava leaves, which have 25% of protein. All meal, which is whether it's groundnut, mustard, all do have certain percentage of protein is available. Now, latest developments in this protein industries like insects and worms, which are getting little attention in South Asia. So protein, on protein parameter in India, major responsibility or major share goes to soya on raw material.
Sure. Kripa, I have a question for you now. Like, given that people are, consciously moving towards buying products that are healthier options for them, so in your opinion, how important does it become for consumers to learn about what their animal protein sources are? They should be aware of their, the other side of it as well. Your take, Kripa?
I think regardless of what we're purchasing, whether it's a protein, carbohydrate,
Hmm.
chocolate, I think it's essential for us to learn how to read our labels and know what we're putting into our bodies.
Mhm.
We can't consume low-grade fuel and expect to be functioning really well. That being said, there were some very real concerns with meat, including the ethical treatment of animals and the impact on the environment. But
Mhm.
we're not getting into that today. So anything I say that follows talks about animal-based protein from the perspective of health and not ethics.
Right.
3 decades of research prove that grass-fed beef and pasture-raised meat are significantly healthier than grain-fed, farm meat. Grass-fed meat has much better types of fats than grain-fed meat because it has more omega-3, which is anti-inflammatory, fewer omega-6, which is pro-inflammatory, and more CLA, which boosts metabolism and could even prevent cancer. Grass-fed meat also has higher levels of vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients. The plain simple truth is that you indirectly eat what the animal is, in a sense. So
Right. Right.
it does affect you.
Correct. Correct. Jason, coming back to soybean, which is used to make different soybean meals. Like as we understand, soybean is a high quality feed ingredient for be it poultry or livestock or aquaculture. Tell us how the industry is adopting soybean meals as the protein rich feed for livestock.
See, certain parameters make any protein unique, no? Which are the amino acid combination, digestibility, and bioavailability of protein in that particular food. So while comparing based on above three, soybean meal considered as the best protein available to enhance the protein in the feed. So there are two methods of analysis which normally the whole world is doing. One is protein digestibility corrected amino acid score, which is approved by World Health Organization. Another one is digestible indispensable amino acid score, which is still not approved, which is under the process of getting approval. While considering these two methods, soya comes on the best 2 or 3 range, where it gives also importance to the economic feasibility. What I understand is that Kripa madam will can give more lights on that. Protein must contain all essential amino acids for building blocks of proteins in the right proportion, and it should be easily digested. So soya, which is unlikely most other plant proteins, contain all major essential amino acid, making one of the best plant protein source. So this makes soya the hot cake for the raw material.
Sure. Kripa, you would like to add something to what Jason just elaborated?
For sure. I think everyone has just made such great points, but there are complete proteins and incomplete proteins. The complete ones are those which have all the amino acids, and the incomplete ones are like lentils and grains don't have all. So there is a traditional sense of protein combining where you pair an idli with a sambar or a dal with a rice to complete the amino acid profile. But as we're moving along and more research is coming about, it's more like how much protein you consume through the day matters more than at any one given point.
Sure. Dr. Suresh, one comment from you I would like soybean meal, as we're discussing, they provide quality protein products, but can the consumption help India become protein sufficient one day? And when would that day be? I mean, what is your outlook?
Definitely, see, we have resources. And if you look at soy, India is the 5th largest producer in the world. Okay, and our consumption is relatively low for protein, and the soy can be, if we actually looking at domestic consumption of whatever is we are producing here, whether it is in the animal feed or in the human food, I'm sure this is going to help definitely. But looking at the population, we may in a day coming, we may have to depend on import of especially products like soy protein. The way the plant-based proteins interest is increasing, definitely this is going to happen very fast, and we are going to really meet that demand. We have resources, and if you look at the soy, in addition to what Jason or Ms. Jalan has mentioned, soy is the cheapest source of protein, and also it is one of the most economical source of protein, and also it has a quality wise, it's a superior quality plant protein. And in addition to that, there are a number of other benefits for soy, especially in reducing some of the incidence of diseases. I have quite a bit amount of experience working on soy. It found out that soy can help in reducing some of the diet-related degenerative diseases, and also the protein. Not only soy, in general, protein can also help us in, especially in India, where we have very high incidence of diabetes. It is estimated that more than 75 million Indians are diabetic. It is like a tested, but there are so many untested diabetics would be there. But see, for them, if you look at the protein, because their requirement of protein is a little higher, and the studies show that soy protein can also help in managing diabetes, and the amount of fiber present in soy that will help in bringing down the glycemic index of the food. And soy being a very versatile product, so this can play a very, very important role in animal feed. As Jason has mentioned, it's being one of the cheapest source of protein with a superior quality protein. And in the human side, because of the health benefits associated with and versatility of soy and its nutritional profile, definitely this is going to play a very, very important role. I think we are moving in the right direction, and we need some amount of awareness, which one thing I would like to mention, recently FSSA has also recognized that, and they actually endorsed the consumption of soy protein as a human food. That has also been endorsed. And in the retail industry, if you look at, I think that retail industry is doing very, very well, growing very well. And I would say retailers can be like a gatekeepers between the producers and the consumers. They can play a very, very important role. And the consumer behavior of reading labels is definitely going to help increasing the consumption. And maybe the soy fed animal label, if you put it on the label, definitely people understand the importance of soy and realize the benefits of soy. I'm sure that will go a long way in increasing the protein consumption in India, and then making affordable and as a good quality protein to the consumers in the coming years. Over.
And that brings us to the end of this session. But before we let all of you go, one last comment from all of you. So first, Jason, like we've discussed about the importance of soybean in the meal, and also the awareness levels and how things are changing. But tell us what could be the best practices that our audiences, which are participating and listening to this session, can implement and help India become protein sufficient. Jason.
It's a very serious question you are asking me on this small shoulder, because it's very simple and very important. By the way, we are the largest producer of milk and milk products, second largest in aqua, and third largest in egg production, sixth largest in broiler. But the raw material which is required to make the feed, and we hold only 2.5% of the Indian soybean production in the world. World having a number of 385 million, and we are having only 10 million on an average, which means we need to do a lot on production number. And 25% of majority of the feed consists of soybean meal, and rest will be carbohydrate, and others will be the points which I have mentioned earlier.
Sure.
And what exactly protein do? Of course, Kripa Madam has very clearly in short told everything, but I would like to mention something. Protein is essential component of our body parts. It's do a lot in muscle building, repair, maintenance, and it is very important to have a protein on a daily basis, because it helps in maintaining of our cells. And so what are the source available for us is soya, quinoa, nuts and oil seeds, legumes. As legumes is not complete, but again, of course, it can be combined with some other product. Whey is also a good protein. Egg, chicken, fish also considered as one of the best in non-vegetarian. Now, considering all that, whether it is non-vegetarian or veg, soya do have a big role to play. India should adopt and accept more economically viable products to open up the sources for its vulnerable population. who lies in the bottom of pyramids. That is very important for the policymakers to decide. That will be the right approach towards eradicating protein deficiency, and these steps will make a protein availability better. Non-availability of raw material, crush, refine, or feed will lead to a disparity in the domestic industry. That will give way to exporters in the other country to market their products in our country. We should remember that 85% of Indian vegetarian and 65% of Indian non-vegetarian Indians are protein deficient. That is one of the worst thing which I ever came to know that.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of treating malnutrition is 25 times more than costing the prevention. So if you have a healthy population, it is good that we will focus on growth. Even a single person is having a small problem, he's hospitalized, the whole family will run behind that. So you believe that an unhealthy nation will lead to a good economy. So we have to focus on health.
Right.
See, I was discussing with one of my child's mentor. I wrongly told him money is very important. Then he called me and said, boss, you are in protein and you are telling your child that money is important for child to grow. It is not. The health is very important. Tell them if they have a healthy body, then it possesses a healthy mind. That will lead a positive nation and we will be the champions. Of course, next Olympics we may be able to do something better. As Suresh do have some concern about we do not have good numbers entirely. But of course, a healthy nation come with a healthy food. And for that, soya do have its own very important vital role. Hope everybody have good food and take care, stay safe.
That's the right note to conclude this session. But before we end it, Dr. Suresh, your last comments, a piece of advice for the viewers.
As Jason mentioned, so this has a lot of protein is very, very important. I think we have showed moving in the direction. And if you look at the consumers, that's what retailers, that's what I always feel like being the direct contact with the consumers. Retailers can influence what kind of products consumer buy and how they use or dispose them. That is what they can play. And if we have a better awareness among the consumers, among the retailers, that can be passed on to the consumers. As I mentioned in my beginning statement, consumers really, the retailers really play an important role, whether at the modern retail or especially in the mom and pop stores. Now, because in that situation, consumers don't have direct access to the product. That is where retail play a very, very important role. And if we educate them, if they understand the good nutrition and good food habits, that will definitely help us in moving the nation healthy. In addition to what Jason has mentioned, I just would like to mention that India spends almost around 40,000 crores in managing a disease. So if you have a good food and good nutrition, and especially products like soy with a lot of health benefits, so we can actually make a healthier nation and bring down the disease management burden on the exchequer. So this is it's a win-win situation for everybody, and have a healthy nation, and maybe one day we will have more medals in the Olympics.
We all hope so, sir. We all hope so. And Kripa, your closing comments on the best practices that can be, adopted by the industry. Ultimately, the aim and the goal is the same for all of us to make India, protein sufficient, and how can soya play a major role in that? So, Kripa, your closing comments.
I think just maintaining complete transparency, because I think the less food is tampered with, the more beneficial it is, and this applies across the board, whether it's protein, whether it's health bars, it's Greek yogurt. I think the consumers just need more transparency from the government. I mean, not from the government, from manufacturers. That's one of the best things I could say.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, all of you, for being part of this session and letting us know so many things about soya as a product, a differentiator in terms of protein. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you a lot.